Hello, welcome to Puddock's Classroom. I'm here with Puddock. Here he is, he's still around. And we're looking today to let you know that I'm not here today. I have to go into school, so I won't be around at my computer to explain to you what you have to do. I won't be around at my computer to answer your work. So you're pretty much on your own today. And because of that, I have left you one big task, just one. I will explain it in just a moment, but this task doesn't have to be done exactly by today because I'm not going to look at it today. I won't have time. But I will have a look at it over the weekend or at the beginning of next week. So you've got today, the weekend, next week, but by the end of next week, I am looking for this piece of work to be finished, and I'm looking for this piece of work to be finished to a really, really good standard. Okay, so I'm going to disappear now, and I will get back to you soon with your work. So hang around and watch all the video. Okay, so this is what we're going to be basing your work on for this time. All the way through the holidays, all the way through this break that you've had, you have been given Mask Maker to listen to. I have recorded every single chapter. I have made video after video, and I have put every single one of them on the blog for you to watch and listen to. The story's brilliant. All the people who've got back to me have said how much they are enjoying it. Apart from one person did say they didn't like it, but apart from that, every single person said that they were really enjoying this book, and it's great. I loved reading it. It's fantastic. It's so exciting. It's got so many good ideas and great characters in it. Brilliant book. So hopefully you have been listening to it. If you haven't listened to it, it is still there, and you will need to listen to it, or at least parts of it, because there's a lot there. So you might need to listen to a few chapters, miss a bit, a few chapters, miss a bit. Okay, but you need to get an idea of what happens in the story, because when we are doing your work, it's based on this story. So let's have a look and see what we're asking you to do today. We're going to write a book summary. I say we, it's you. I'm going to help you to do it. And we're going to look at this book summary because in the structure of it. So the structure is there in front of you. It has 6 parts to it that I want you to write about. Each of those parts will be a separate paragraph. Okay, so we're looking at the opening to the story, build up within the story, the main storyline, resolution, any other storylines that are within the book, and the ending. So all of these must be written about in your book summary, and each one of those sections will be a separate paragraph within your writing. Okay, so in your writing you must, absolutely must, do these following things. And it's like every piece of writing that you do. I expect to see this. I expect to see paragraphs within your writing. I expect to see a range of sentence types. Yes, you can use simple sentences, but you should also be using compound sentences. You should also be using complex sentences. And those sentences must be punctuated accurately. The age you're at in year 5, the end of year 5, almost going into year 6, you are expected to use a wide range of punctuation. So make sure you're using not just full stops, you're using commas correctly where they should be. Write some sentences that include exclamation marks. Ask questions within your writing so that you can include a question mark when you are quoting from the book. If there's a nice phrase that you came across or something interesting that a character says, use speech marks. You might even include brackets within your writing. Okay, so we're looking for all of this. So let's look at now what each part of the your writing is going to be. So paragraph 1, we're looking at the opening. Okay, so what should you be writing about in the opening? So let's have a look. The opening is where the story begins. So describe the setting at the beginning of the book. Okay, so you'll probably want to look at the prologue, which is an interesting sort of, it's before the story really, all right, but also look at chapter 1. Where is the story set? All right, so look at the beginning of the book. Introduce the first characters that the reader encounters. So who is in chapter 1? Who's the main character? Is there anyone else there that's important? All right, and tell us about them. Don't just say it was a boy called and a girl called. You need to tell us a little bit more about these characters. All right, I want a good description of the setting, good description of the characters. Tell us about who they are. Okay. Paragraph 2, we're looking at the build-up. All right, so in the build-up, we're explaining how the story builds up into its main storyline. So it starts off with that introduction where we get to meet the characters, and then things start to happen. So that's what you're trying to explain. What sort of things happen that gets the story going? Okay. Think about the relationship between the main character and his teacher. Think about that first lesson that we see them having where they're making the masks, and what happens in that lesson that starts the story going, because it's at that point the teacher notices something about the boy. Is a situation building up between the characters? So is there anything that you can see happening between Miss Lambert and Jamie? Or is there a situation building up in any of the characters' lives? What's Ginny talking about when, or what are all the children talking about at playtime, about the sort of strange dreams that they're having? Is that a situation that's building up? And that you could also go on beyond the rest of the chapters as well, a little bit further into the story, but not too far, because it's the build up, remember. Okay, paragraph 3. Paragraph 3 is the main storyline. Okay, so this is the big chunk of the book, the biggest part of the book. What is happening? And our story is quite interesting in that it's got sort of it's got these, the main storyline is made up of these separate little adventures that Jamie has, but they're all part of the main storyline, and they take us on in the story until we get to the final climax. So there's usually one main storyline in a book. Summarize what this is. Okay, now there is one main storyline. Although Jamie has 2 or 3 adventures, it's all one main storyline. Why is he having these adventures? Okay, what's Miss Lambert's role in this? To summarize what that is, you know, in detail. Is there a problem? Right? It might be that a problem needs to be solved. I've written that sentence wrong. It might be a problem that needs to be solved. No, it's fine. It might be a problem that needs to be solved. So what is there? Okay, so is there a problem of some sort? Whose problem is it, if there is a problem? Okay. What about paragraph 4? Now, paragraph 4 is the resolution, the ending. How is the whole thing brought to an end? How is it finished off? Okay, so how is the main situation handled and solved? This problem that they had, this storyline between Jamie and Miss Lambert, how is it handled? How is it solved? What does the author do to get that story across, that situation across to us? And how is it all resolved in the end? Okay, so there's quite a lot in that one. Now, paragraph 5 is any other storylines within this. Now, we're not thinking necessarily about the little adventures that Jamie's have, because they're part of the main storyline. But what other storylines are there? Are there any other events happening in this story? Well, if you think about some of the other characters, there are events within them. So there's things that happen between Ginny and Jamie. We see their relationship developing as the story goes on. So that might be one of the events that you can talk about or you can write about. We see events between Jamie and Mouth and his gang. What happens between them from the beginning right through to the end of the story. All right, they're not there all the time, but it's an element. And it also, the relationship between Jamie and Mouth, it helps Jamie in some ways when he is dealing with some of his other adventures. You've also got Jamie's family. That's another mini storyline that's going on. So there's loads going on in this book. It's really well put together. So those are the sort of things that you could talk about with the other storylines. But again, they're minor. They're not important to the story. They're not the most important thing to the story. We just add that extra detail. Okay? As I'm saying here, well, it's just pretty much what I've said. They do add an extra dimension to the characters' lives or to the reader's understanding of the story. You know, and this is why I think this is such a good book, because you have got these other storylines in there that really develop what's going on. So do make sure that you mention them. Okay, and then finally, paragraph 6, the ending. So when we're looking at the ending, how do all those different threads of the story get resolved at the end of the book? That's a really difficult job when you've got all these different storylines going on. There's this and this and this. How does the author bring them all together and get the story finished? Okay. Is it a good ending? Are you happy with the ending? Sometimes in some books you get situations that are not resolved. So in this book, are there any situations left unresolved? Or are there any questions that are unanswered? And you might, if you're doing that, you might try and guess about what you think the answers might be. Does this book have a sequel? Because sometimes if they have left questions unanswered, it's because the author's got another book that follows it, or they plan to write another book. So does this book have a sequel? Is it possible to write a sequel to this book? Do you think the author's left it in a way that, yes, you could have another book afterwards? Okay. So there you have it. That's what I'm looking for. A lot of thinking about this book that you need to do, and I want to see your thoughts on paper by the end of next week, because it's the end of the year. I'm not seeing very much of you. This is one of the ways that I will be assessing how much you have improved with your writing. So put your very best effort into this so I can see it. What you're going to do is you are going to put this onto your blog. Okay, so this is Puddock's blog. So you're going to go to your blog and you are going to add a new post. You're going to call that post Mask Maker Summary, and you will do all your writing there. All right, you can go back and edit it, so you don't have to do it all in one go. So you can maybe do a paragraph today and another bit later on, so you don't have to do it all in one piece, but get to the end of it. Okay, and I will look at it as soon as I can. If it's not finished and I've commented on it, just write a comment underneath to say, just to let me know that you haven't finished it yet, and I will understand. So good luck with this. Work hard. I'm looking for some brilliant writing. Okay.